A man in a crisp white suit walks into a commercial kitchen, dips a tasting spoon into a fresh batch of brown gravy, and violently splatters it across the floor. He turns to the terrified restaurant staff and dismisses their work as sludge and wallpaper paste. Harlan Sanders was essentially attacking himself. The man whose smiling face decorated every bucket in the building was waging a $122 million legal war against the corporation that owned his name. Strip away the cartoonish mascot used in modern advertising, and you find the real Harlan Sanders. He was a strict, ruthless culinary perfectionist who built a massive chicken empire based on his own exacting standards. The creator spent his final years desperately trying to destroy the reputation of the brand that made him a global icon. Sanders developed a fanatical devotion to quality while building the business from nothing. He slept in the back of his car for years, driving across the country to demonstrate his pressure cooking technique and secret blend of herbs and spices to individual diner owners. By 1964, that grueling roadwork had produced a franchise network of over 600 locations. Recognizing he was aging and unable to manage the scale of the growth, Sanders sold the entire operation to corporate investors for $2 million. The deal retained Sanders as a salaried brand ambassador. His only job was to continue traveling and appearing in advertisements, ensuring the public kept associating his recognizable face with the chicken. In cashing out, Sanders had effectively signed away the legal rights to his own identity. He had become a permanent employee of the image he created. In 1971, the KFC brand was acquired by the conglomerate Hueblein. Their immediate priority was streamlining. Corporate executives decided that Sanders' original gravy took too much labor and expense for a fast food assembly line, and they replaced it with a cheaper, industrialized mix. Cost-cutting measures also hit the chicken itself. The subtle, pressure-cooked breading Sanders had perfected was replaced with a thick, artificial texture that he publicly dubbed a damn fried dough ball stuck on some chicken. Sanders refused to endorse a product he hated. He began launching unannounced rogue inspections of franchised kitchens across the country. If he approached the fryers and found substandard food, he would strike the prep tables with his wooden cane in frustration. When internal shouting matches failed to change policy, he took his complaints to the press. In interviews with publications like the New York Times, he warned consumers that the food sold under his name was inedible. Hueblein struggled to counter his attacks. Because Sanders was the literal face of the brand, his public rejection of the food undermined the company's entire marketing strategy. In 1968, Sanders attempted a clean break. He and his wife Claudia opened an independent restaurant named the Colonel Ladies Dinner House, determined to serve his original recipes the way he intended. Hueblein immediately filed a trademark infringement suit. They successfully secured a legal block that prevented Sanders from franchising his new concept or using his own image to promote his new business. Sanders countersued for $122 million. He argued that the corporation was unlawfully using his image to sell cheap, altered products that he had no part in developing. In a final attempt to silence him, KFC sued Sanders for libel and defamation over his wallpaper paste comments. A judge ultimately dismissed the case, ruling that Sanders was expressing a personal opinion in his interviews rather than targeting specific franchise owners. The courtroom battles highlighted a strange new reality. A corporation was using the legal system to suppress a living creator so they could protect the profitable myth that he still endorsed their product. Sanders cost the company millions in legal fees and generated years of negative press, yet KFC fought fiercely to keep his face on every bucket. The value was in the constructed South. Advertisers rely on regional stereotypes, the illusion of slow-paced, wholesome tradition to make mass-produced goods feel authentic. Companies used racist mammy mascots to communicate domestic reliability, but the civil rights movement made these depictions toxic. Brands still required consumer trust. White characters like Sanders functioned as a safer alternative, signaling values of innocence and domesticity without the social controversy. Hueblein treated Sanders as a sanitized archetype rather than a living person. His image functioned as a shield, masking an industrialized, cost-cutting supply chain behind the myth of a traditional creator. The legal war eventually ended in a settlement. Sanders received $1 million, and his wife's independent restaurant was allowed to continue serving his original recipes. That personal victory was overshadowed by the corporation's growth. Without the constraints of Sanders' quality control, the streamlined model allowed the brand to explode globally, multiplying to over 25,000 restaurants. Sanders kept his pride, but the corporation maintained control over the narrative. Buying this industrialized chicken means staring into the smiling, manufactured face of the man who spent his last days warning us not to.